Consistency over time. If you clicked on this video just to hear a 3-word maxim, congratulations! You can click away now. But before you do that, you might be interested to know that there's a little bit more to the story than just those 3 words. I'm Noedia, and I have no business giving you life advice. Let's get into it. The meaning of the equation. Improvement happens when similar work is done at regular intervals. Each part is of paramount importance. One without the other gets you nowhere. Consistency. What does consistency mean in this equation? Aren't consistency and doing something regularly over time the same thing? Well, yes and no. In this case, consistency doesn't just mean doing the same thing over and over again. Instead, it refers to the kind of work done. First, there's consistency of workload. Your workload is, not surprisingly, how much work you do, but here's the trick. Your workload is not how much work you get done. What do I mean by that? Well, in the case of improvement, I believe that what's more important than doing X amount is actually the amount of effort you put in. Imagine you aim for a certain amount of progress. There will always be days that you are sick, tired, busy, or so on, and can do a little but just can't get the right amount done. Does that mean the day is wasted? Of course not. As long as you put in effort, you are reinforcing your progress in your brain. Conversely, as you improve at a skill, you will get more done with the same amount of effort. The second part of consistency is work type. Imagine you want to learn art. If you spend one day drawing a character, the next practicing landscapes, and the third coloring in a coloring book, you won't be making much progress. Put simply, your brain needs time to learn to do something well, even if it's a really simple task. Consistent work type does not mean that you should cut out all variation. Instead, if you are working to improve at a very complex discipline, you should focus on small pieces at a time, ideally in a way that builds upon itself. By focusing on manageable chunks, you give yourself time to actually learn the skill before moving on. Not every project you might want to take on requires variation. Generally, you only need to introduce variation if the skill is too difficult or complicated to work on in its entirety. Finally, remember that the work you do should go beyond your realm of comfort. If you only practice what you already know, you'll never learn anything. Time. The more difficult part of this equation is time. Anybody can try something out for a little while. You might last a day, a week, a month, or even longer, but every skill requires maintenance, so it's important to be able to keep going forever, or until you choose to stop. Importantly, doing something consistently over time does not mean doing it every day. In fact, in the case of something like exercise, that may be actively detrimental, and the same holds true for mental and creative disciplines as well. Giving yourself time to rest and synthesize the information you have learned is paramount for improvement, and giving yourself leeway is important for another reason we'll get to soon. So, how do you keep yourself on track? I, for one, can't just decide to stick to something even a week, let alone years. Fixing this is simple to state but difficult in practice. You have to convince your brain into wanting to do it every single time. When I decided to learn to draw, I did just 5 minutes of observation a day. That may sound a little bit silly, just 5 minutes, and I'm not even drawing. But I designed it in that way so I would never have the excuse of not having the time or energy to meet that tiny little goal. That strategy might not work for you, but the idea is sound. Whenever I thought about the goal, I had given myself a reason to do it, and to do it that day. Different things work for different people. My mom loves putting stickers on her calendar. She gets a sense of accomplishment every time she gets to show that she sticks to her exercise routine. Some people turn the work into a game. Many people love keeping track of streaks and like to reward themselves for doing well. This is also where choosing the amount of effort to give comes in. I have a potentially controversial opinion. If you work on improving nearly every day, you don't need to put in a ton of energy on any one day. With my brain injury, I rarely put more than 10 or 15 minutes into any of my projects each day, and some days all my effort doesn't even break 5, and yet I still have seen leaps and bounds in my level. Finally, let me be really real with you. I say want a lot in this video, but it's actually always a decision, and usually not an easy one. If your first thought is, but I could just not do it, you're right. Whether or not it's worth it will always be your decision, so try to keep in mind why you wanted to do it in the first place. Some people will just have days when nothing feels worth it. If you have those days and just can't get your goals done, that's okay. Just keep going whenever you can. Always give yourself grace because no matter how perfect you want to be, there will always be days when you fall. But failure doesn't matter if you get up and try again the next day.